I've come from a place called Buntingford in Hertfordshire. I'm a staunch union member, been a member of various unions, Transport and General and now Unite for about the last 35 years. It's hard to pick any particular point, but I think the cost of living is going to be dramatically felt by an awful lot of people, especially in October when the fuel prices go up again. So I think, anything can be done to address that at all needs to be done, and soon. You're looking at people holding down 2 or 3 jobs, still unable to afford even the basics of rent and food. They've got children, they've got families, and policies aren't being set to address it, and I think they need to be.
I live in Bradford-on-Avon, just outside Bath. There's so many issues. My big one at the moment is I'm a teaching assistant, and our wages just have not kept up with the cost of living. And it was 1.75% for this year, with a 9% increase in cost of living, and that's happens year on year. We've had years when we've had pay freezes, but the MPs still get their pay rises. And, I love my job. I'm good at my job. I make a difference in my job. It's a skilled job. We do lots of training on all sorts of things. We have legal child protection responsibilities. When the teachers have been off sick with COVID and there's no supplies to be had, the TAs are the people that step up to the mark and do a good job of it. We look after. There's been talk in the news about children's mental health. Well, who's the children's mental health first aiders? It's the teaching assistants. We look after the children's mental health. We look after each other's mental health. We're the ones that are, hugging our teachers when they're at the end of their tether and doing everything we can to keep them. And it's a skilled job, and it's getting to the point where we could work in supermarkets for more money. And I am facing the point where I can no longer afford to do it.
I'm Kudzia Batul. I'm the Head of Equalities and Strategy at the TUC. There's 2 reasons I've come along today. One is I am a member of staff at the TUC, so it's incredibly important for me to make sure the workers that I represent in my work, disabled workers, are well supported and able to really protest and to demonstrate their anger at the crisis we're facing, which disproportionately impacts them far more than it does other groups of people. As well as the fact that this government needs to be told enough is enough. I think the pandemic has shown us that, it's blown the covers off the inequality that exists for disabled people. And we know that, 6 in 10 deaths during the pandemic were of disabled workers. And they weren't by accident. There are systemic and structural factors that led to that disproportionate impact around pay, around working conditions, around access to services and support, and generally the myriad of things that disabled working people have to go through just to thrive and live, which the government really is stacking against them.
NHS. I have ME. Another issue, we need funding into ME. If ME had been funded properly 20 years ago, a lot of people with long COVID would have treatments by now. I have 3 long-term chronic incurable conditions. I rarely see a doctor.
I'm down from Manchester, Blake and Broughton constituency. I've come along to show solidarity with all the people against the courts who they've all made the way to this end of the country. We've come down to stand together and say to the government, enough is enough. The cost of living crisis and the fact they've put VAT up to 20% when it used to be 8%, which is hitting the poorest even harder than it would be normally. Never mind austerity, which has cut wages. It's all right for them. They claim everything on expenses, including the £4,000 a year fuel bills.
Today there's protests about the cost of living crisis and basically everything else that this Conservative government are doing to disabled people. Because during the pandemic, over half of all COVID deaths were disabled people. And this can't keep going on like it is. And it's just getting worse and worse. And it's got even worse under Boris Johnson, and it's like his little cabal of sort of whatever they want to call themselves. Cost of living, prices, sort of gas going up, electricity's going up, food prices are going up, everything is going up. But support for disabled people is going backwards. We actually took the government, Conservative government, to the United Nations, and they came back, that's the United Nations Committee on Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and they came to the conclusion that the government had committed grave and systemic violations of disabled people's rights. And a little bit later down the line, they also decided the government had caused a human catastrophe.
I don't think the government will pay the slightest bit of attention. Not this government. I believe perhaps any other government might perhaps take on board what's being said here today. This government we have now, you know, I've run out of ways to describe how much I despise these people.
I don't trust this government to do anything. Working people have never trusted people in power. We've always, through our organising, through our mobilising, through our collectivism, demanded our better conditions, and this is just us demanding to the government, and if they don't want to listen, well, we'll just have to do what we always do and go around them.
I've never been this angry or disillusioned with the government, really. I just think 12 years and just things have got steadily worse, and you can't blame it all on COVID.
Well, they've had nearly 12 years to listen and they've not listened today. It's just their way or not at all.
The government will never listen to working class plebs like me.